Guten Morgen, everyone.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, America. Good morning, world. Good morning, Chanda, Amos, and Oz. And thank you all in the chat for joining us today. We got a full-packed show for you. And of course, I would like to start as usual to ask my panel, how they're doing. Chanda, how are you doing?
Oh no.
Chanda?
Sorry guys, I lost sound and I had double feedback going in my ears.
Okay.
Good morning. I was like, did I fix it? Is it gone?
All right. Okay. So, Amos, how are you doing?
Doing all right. We in Jersey are doing pretty well compared to the rest of the country. I hope it continues, although who knows?
Yeah. Oz?
I'm melting under the pressure of Donald Trump and Joe Biden fighting over the presidency of the United States. When is it ever going to end?
Yeah, it's like the Arctic, right?
Yeah. It's like the Arctic.
And Chanda, everything okay now?
Yeah. No, my sound's good.
All right. And how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm great. Other than, 2020. It's hard to find the good things in this year.
Yeah, it's a never-ending, year, it's as it seems. Anyway, we're going over to today's show, and we got a lot we want to talk about today. We will talk about the times when America was great, and we're talking about the election that could break America. We are asking where should the left go. We are, of course, talking about the incidents about Breonna Taylor, and we are talking about worms, in this case about Lindsey Graham and his fear of getting killed. And we're talking about an unarmed woman coming to a battle against AOC, but we want to start with a look back in history, and there was a time when America was great, and it was the time of the Brady Bunch. And for me as a German, it's a very nice and easy opening because I have absolutely no clue who the Brady Bunch is. I know the intro song, and this is all because this TV show was not that popular, or I don't know if they even run it in Germany. So I would like to share with you the memories of my panel, and want to ask, was America really great at that time in 1969 when the TV show started? I would like to start with Chanda.
Yeah, yes, I was raised on the Brady Bunch. It definitely gave Americans, this and many other shows through the 60s, 70s, and 80s, gave us a false sense of the American dream. And, you aspire to have a household like that. And, I think you felt like you weren't normal if you didn't have the typical Brady type life. And it was false hopes is what it was.
All right, Oz, what do you have to say?
I think this is where Hallmark got the idea to model their programming from, was the Brady Bunch. Just shake in a little religion, and then you've got a Hallmark show on a regular basis. Maybe they will revitalize the Brady Bunch on Hallmark, and we'll all be able to partake in that garbage again. So that's my
yeah. And of course, Amos, what is your experience with the Brady Bunch, and how far
I was in Israel. I was growing up in Israel. This is the golden age of American television. We were getting all of that, all of these series, Ironside, the Sailor, whatever, all these Hawaii 105.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, there was one channel on TV, and everybody was watching the same exact shows, and you could walk down the street and hear from all the buildings the same show streaming.
Yeah, this is here the same, or it was here the same in Germany at that time. I remember the time, for example, when Dallas was popular in the 80s. It ran here in Germany on Tuesdays. And on Wednesdays there was no other topic. For years. Than what was happening in this TV show. But those times have gone. Everything is now consumable by internet streamers or online or sources. As I said, I don't have any experience with the Brady Bunch. Yesterday, when I prepared the show, I had a look in an episode which was on YouTube, and I don't think that even when I was young, it would have touched me, because the scenery, was too far away from our living in Germany at that time. The worlds were too different, if you want so. And as I said, I don't know this from the German television. I don't know if it was aired at a later point, on some channels here. And but I think it was quite funny to talk about this, because today is, I think it was the 51st birthday of the show. And there are other important or non-important things which also happened at this day. If you can go to slide 7, please. We had, for example, Kennedy and Nixon square off in the first televised presidential debate. There was Sir Francis Drake, on the way on the seas, on the oceans. The first American soldier was killed in the American phase of the Vietnam War, and Daniel Boone died in Missouri. These all happened today, a couple of years ago.
Can I tell you, I went back and just watched that Kennedy and Nixon debate not too long ago, and Kennedy just mopped the floor with Nixon. And Nixon was so mad after the debate because Kennedy just had so much charisma, and, he just couldn't compete with that.
Was it the debate where Nixon was heavily sweating, which exactly. Yes, I remember this one. Yeah. All right. Let's go over to the first topic Amos has prepared for us. And let me see. Yes, it is about the election, we have to expect or fear in a few weeks. And, how's the situation, Amos? Tell us more about it.
Well, first of all, I want to warn whoever is watching, if you're not up to being deeply depressed, just switch off for the next segment and come back.
Yeah, that's why we're here for you to say, by the way.
It's 2020. Bring it on.
Yes.
This is based on an article written in The Atlantic by Barton Gellman. And he's very meticulously going through the scenarios and possibilities of what's going to happen really in the upcoming election. And the fact that we know that Trump is already preparing to dismiss any loss means that either way, if the only scenario really that he sees that something is not gonna go awry is if Biden won by a landslide, which is sort of unlikely at the moment. Every other scenario brings him down to a really prolonged fight that may even result in people just pushing forcefully, Trump pushing forcefully for electorates to be overriding their state's vote because they contest the vote count. And apparently the Constitution kind of leaves that area a little vague. I think they kind of saw that possibility, but thought it was so unlikely that they didn't really get into much detail about how and what would happen in the event that you have a contest of that sort. And because of that, we have a big gap where things can be done very anti-democratically, and there's really no answer to that. They did a study they had a project in Georgetown University where students were modeling scenarios of post-election contest. And it was frightening because all of the scenarios pretty much ended where they didn't even resolve the issue. They couldn't even resolve the issue. It was coming, all of the scenarios came to a civil struggle and street fights and stuff like that. And none of them could envision any other outcome of the upcoming election, and the problem is that Trump he has been selling this whole idea of the mail being a source of fraud, mail ballots being a source of fraud, and he said if you throw away all the ballots, we're good, because then he's going to be president. So any other way he's going to contest, if he loses the election, he's not going to accept it. And he's this week, he's even gone as far as saying that he's not committing to a peaceful resolution of the election. which is kind of astounding to come from a president. That's yet a leap forwards into autocratic thinking. I have like a couple of videos here. One of Trump quote, if you want to run that in the next slide.
Is that this one? Is that Democracy Now? Okay, let's run it here.
The only way they can take this election away from us is if this is a rigged election. We're going to win this election.
That's right.
We're going to win this election.
Yeah.
What they're doing is using COVID to steal an election.
Right.
They're using COVID to defraud the American people, all of our people, of a fair and free election. And we can't do that.
So yeah, you could hear him in his own words. So this is really like a nightmare situation. I didn't think that we would come to that, but it's really a 5 alarm at the moment. I think it's like a serious danger to our democracy. And if he gets by contesting a loss, we're done with our democracy. There's nothing going to be left because he's not going to go away after the next 4 years, and it's just downhill from there. There's Bernie had a speech this week alerting and raising the alarm about it, and I thought it was very important. It's a little longer than usual, but I think it's very important, and I recommend everybody. It's really a must to listen to the entire thing. It's maybe 30 minutes or so in length, not what we're showing here, but the whole segment. And I suggest you check the link and watch that speech in its entirety. You want to run it?
This is not just an election between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. This is an election between Donald Trump and democracy. And democracy must win. The United States is the oldest continuous democracy in the modern world. We held elections in the middle of a civil war in 1864. We held free and fair elections during World War I, during the Great Depression, and during World War II. After all of those elections held in extremely difficult circumstances, the loser acknowledged defeat and the winner was inaugurated and took office. That is what the United States of America is all about. That is what democracy is all about. But today, under Donald Trump, we have a president who has little respect for our Constitution or the rule of law. Today, that peaceful transition of power, the bedrock of American democracy, is being threatened like never before. I am not in the habit of quoting former President Ronald Reagan, but I think something that he said in his first inaugural address makes the point about how important, how precious is this part of our heritage. And I quote Ronald Reagan, "The orderly transfer of authority as called for in the Constitution routinely takes place as it has for almost 2 centuries, and few of us stop to think how unique we really are. In the eyes of many in the world, this every 4-year ceremony we accept as normal is nothing less than a miracle," end of quote. Protecting this orderly transfer of authority, as President Reagan characterized it, this miracle is absolutely essential if we together, all of us, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, want to keep faith with the American ideals we hold so dear and with the sacrifices that so many made in order to protect our democracy. And in that regard, I think it is terribly important that we actually listen to and take seriously what Donald Trump is saying. Several weeks ago, speaking at the Republican National Convention, Trump said, and I quote, "The only way they can take this election away from us is if this is a rigged election," end of quote. What is remarkable about that statement is that he made it at a time when almost every national poll had him behind and when he was trailing in polls in most battleground states. Think about what that statement means. Think hard about what that statement means. What he is saying is that if he wins the election, that's great. But if he loses, it's rigged. Because the only way he can lose is if it's rigged. And if it's rigged, then he is not leaving office. Heads, I win. Tails, you lose. In other words, in Trump's mind, there is no conceivable way that he should leave office. And just last night, Donald Trump went even further down the path of authoritarianism by becoming the first president in the history of this country to refuse to commit to a peaceful transition of power if he loses the election. When asked by a reporter in the White House briefing room, quote, win, lose, or draw in this election, will you commit here today for a peaceful transfer of power after the election, end quote. Trump responded, and I quote, we're going to have to see what happens. You know that I have been complaining very strongly about the ballots, and the ballots are a disaster. We want to get rid of the ballots, and you'll have a very peaceful. There won't be a transfer, frankly. There will be a continuation, end of quote from Donald Trump.
Yeah, and there's another one. I see that Shanda is rolling her eyes. Why are you rolling your eyes, Shanda?
There's so many things that, first of all, I don't believe that this will end in a high court. There's no way that the vote is going to decide. It's going to be, our highest court that's going to decide this next election. I have a feeling either way, we're going into court for this. And Bernie just disappoints me with this stuff. Trump's bad, Biden's bad. He's supporting a rigged system. He, of all people, knows how rigged this system is. And, the fact that we have such bad election integrity is what allows Trump to be able to say these things and to perpetuate this. If we had some election integrity, there wouldn't be any question.
There's no doubt rigging in the primaries, in my opinion.
And in the general.
Primaries is a completely different ballgame. And as far as national elections are concerned, I do not think it's rigged at all. I think
the Republicans rig it. They rig it with cross-state intercheck, and we all know that.
Yeah, there's
things on the margins of the elections, and in the upcoming elections, they're gonna what is that called?
You need to check out Greg Palast. Almost. The Republicans rig the general every time they can, and they did it last time. They'll do it again. He's already wrote a book entitled "How Trump Rigged 2020."
Yeah,
the way they rig things is mainly by gerrymandering it, and by doing this law that expires now that prohibited. I forget the name of it.
It's the cross-state intercheck where they can purge names that are the same.
That is one thing but that's a legal thing. That's not a matter of rigging. It's just a matter of exploiting this situation. But they of course try to reduce the number of votes, suppress the votes. That's something that's been going on. But again, all of this is done in full view, and you can see what is going on if you wish to. And you can do whatever you can to object to it, but it's not like rigging. Somebody's like going behind the scenes and changing the outcomes, and that's very important to distinguish. And that's what keeps us still in some way a democratic country as opposed to an authoritarian country.
Let's play the next one, and then I'll chime in, if you don't mind.
Let us consider the following scenario, a scenario which I hope very much never takes place. On election night, Trump is ahead in many battleground states based on the votes of those who voted in person on election day. All across the television screens, people see Trump ahead before they turn in for the night. But as more and more mail-in ballots are counted, Trump's lead falls. Trump then announces, with no proof, that there has been massive mail-in ballot fraud and that these votes should not be counted, and that he has won the election. In other words, Trump may well announce that he has won the election before all of the votes are counted, and that large numbers of mail-in ballots should be discarded. Furthermore, in states where Republicans control the legislature, it is possible that the election results will be ignored because of false accusations of voter fraud, and that the legislature itself will use its power to appoint electors pledged to vote for Trump, overriding the will of the people. And in the midst of all of this, with the death of Justice Ginsburg, Trump is attempting to push through a Supreme Court justice who may very well cast a vote in a case that will determine the outcome of this election.
Exactly.
He is doing that at a time when early voting has already begun and millions of ballots will have already been cast. In this unprecedented moment, what can we as a people do in the struggle to preserve American democracy? First, it is absolutely imperative that we have, by far, the largest voter turnout in American history, and that people vote as early as possible. As someone who is strongly supporting Joe Biden, let's be clear. A landslide victory for Biden will make it virtually impossible for Trump to deny the results and is our best means for defending democracy. Second, with the pandemic and a massive increase in mail-in voting, state legislatures must take immediate action now, to allow mail-in votes to be counted before Election Day as they come in. In fact, 32 states allow for the counting or processing of absentee ballots, verifying signatures, for example, before Election Day. All states should do the same. The faster all ballots are counted, the less window there is for chaos and conspiracy theories. Third, the news media needs to prepare the American people to understand there is no longer a single election day and that it is very possible that we may not know the results on November 3rd. Fourth, social media companies must finally get their act together and stop people from using their tools to spread disinformation and to threaten and harass election officials. Fifth, in the Congress and in state legislatures, hearings must be held as soon as possible to explain to the public how the Election Day process and the days that follow will be handled. As we count every vote and prevent voter intimidation, everything possible must be done to prevent chaos, disinformation, and yes, even violence.
Well, if I may start.
Please do, because I'm going to go off for about 2 minutes.
Well, I hear Bernie, and I hear everything he suggests. But where is the Democratic Party in this? I don't see any efforts. I don't see any serious efforts. To make all this happen. Which is Bernie preaching about, right? So that's my problem with it, because Bernie is standing there as always, he's the lonely caller in the desert, nobody's listening to him. He describes a scenario which, in my opinion, is very likely, and well, where is the party? I'm asking this. This is my thought about it. Where is the Democratic Party? Where is Chuck Schumer? Where is Nancy Pelosi? Where are all these guys? What they should be standing at his side with this, with what he said. And he's standing there alone. This is what I see. So you guys.
I just have to say a couple of points. First of all, I agree. That was an excellent speech. I mean, he nailed all the points one by one by one by one by one. He uses the rhetoric and the talking points on social media. But as far as you bringing up that the general election, I think you implied that it's moderately rigged, but for the most part, it's not. Am I correct? Or how would you say that?
I'm saying that in terms of the general election, aside from the fact that there's voter suppression in play and stuff like that, on the whole, we have a system that works.
Okay, I have to disagree. I think our system's a dumpster fire, and I will only say it in using like gerrymandering. I think you alluded to there were legal things that they're doing, and I put that along with legal bribery with our Congress. Just because they put a label as being legal on it doesn't mean it's ethical. So the other point I really want to make is the huge one is the Diebold machines, the counting machines. That is election rigging. There are, and cross-check. Chanda, you brought up cross-check. This is all ways to rig an election. So putting that to bed, I accept the fact that it's rigged and we're trying to do something about it. But I think, Marcus, you really hit it out of the park. Where are all the Democrats on this? It seems like Bernie Sanders is the voice of reason here. And I think they've made him the voice of reason not only because he has the ability to and the efficacy to, but they need that voice of reason. They need that front man for the face of their ugly party, the Democratic Party, to make them...
Listen to Bernie.
Yeah. So they're leading with Bernie as their shield, and he's taking all the shit. I mean, he bent the knee when Obama rigged the primary in collusion with Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar when he rigged that. So... all that being said, I think the speech was great. We need to look for all these things, but they're saying the same thing they've said election after election after election. We need to get out and vote. We need to outvote the other side. But Joe Biden, that campaign, the DNC, they're not doing anything to inspire those 100 million people to get out and vote. They're not giving us shit to vote for. They're just throwing Bernie Sanders out there as the voice of reason. And we're expected to just go along because we don't have anybody else to vote for. We're voting for 5th place in the primary up against somebody who is crazy, who's horrible, who's going to be probably the ultimate death of this country, but they're giving nothing in return for that vote. And that's my position. Sure, I don't want Trump in there. I'm going to put the check mark in the box that I think is going to be best for the people, as far as it ain't going to be for Trump. So that's my position. I think it's reasonable. And again, I commend you on bringing that speech.
Yeah.
So you're voting for Berman Supreme?
Yeah, no.
If I may just correct the record, this is not something that the party put him up to. This is something that came from him. It was a speech that was delivered on his own channel. There's no attempt to use Bernie as a front in any regard. So for the good or for the bad, that's not the situation.
Maybe not this speech, but if you listen to the crap around the hashtag listen to Bernie thingy, there you see the complete opposite. And in the next segment we see another reason for this, why the Democratic Party treats Bernie and all the others like that. Well, talking about elections, for us in Germany, when after World War II, when we got our first elections here in Germany, it was considered to be a day of celebration, and this is why we have our election days always on Sundays, to give everyone the possibility to go into their office where they're registered by reaching the 18th birthday to cast their vote, and if I look at America, when I came to this in 2015, and I looked at how elections work in America, and saw all the obstacles, all the hurdles to cast a vote, it was clear, it was laying clear on the table, that is not a thing to celebrate a democracy, a democratic act in America. It is just to prevent people to go and cast their vote. This is the concept,
Absolutely, Marcus. We see that with, the primaries may be different than the general, but, look at the closing of polling stations. We go from thousands of polling stations in a state to 200
Yes.
for a whole metropolitan city. So people have to wait in line for 8 to 12 hours when they need to work, when they have kids, when they got to feed people. It's intentional. Both sides are doing it.
The thing is, Amos, please.
No, if I may, I think you guys don't quite grasp the gravity of the situation here, and there's no equivalence between what the Democrats are doing and the Republicans are doing at the moment, because we're talking about Republicans that a plot that has been uncovered by Republicans state legislators to overwrite election results by casting a doubt over the official count and then simply sending their own selection of electors to Washington. And those are things that are just like, it should just really chill you to the very bone as far as our democracy surviving the next stage. We're not talking about like political games, gerrymandering. All these things have been in play for ages, and I agree with you. These are frustrating, and they're dirty, and
they're
it's
illegal.
not necessarily done just on one side. But we're talking here about an actual overtake of the democratic system in a way that we've never seen. That has never happened in this country, and that will result in an autocracy.
Well,
and I think we have to wake up to that fact.
As a trained vote observer in the state of Washington, which has done mail-in ballots for quite a number of years now, I'd say 6 or 7 years, the whole state has been a mail-in state. So every year or every election, primary or general, I'm in my auditor's office watching the ballots be processed. And that is where the problem is. And this is what gives Trump the validity to say things like what he's saying, because, okay, the mail-in ballots, okay, are they more secure? No, they're being scanned by a machine that can be manipulated by a county auditor, a state auditor, which allows questions and which will allow Trump to claim what he's claiming.
Yeah.
And to have this roll out for the whole country now, where we've still been fighting it for years in Washington state and can't validate that our vote isn't being manipulated.
Here's the thing. Bernie and other Democrats, even like as much as you don't like them, Schumer, Cory Booker, I think it was Cory Booker, Nancy Pelosi, they were asking for a committee to be, a congressional committee to be put in place to assure safe and secure voting in the states, knowing that this is going to be an issue and there's going to be contention of it. So far, McConnell has rejected it. He hasn't even answered that. So we can see which side is in the way of resolving things that could be resolved. All the things that Bernie is saying there, and he makes very poignant suggestions as to how to diffuse this question that's hovering about the results, are just like they're not doing it. No. And nobody can force them. Nobody can force the Republican Senate to adopt it, to do anything about it.
I will support your position, Amos, as long as Schumer and Pelosi come out with speeches like Bernie, using their bully pulpit to do exactly what Bernie did. You just said they're not using Bernie. Well, Bernie signed an agreement to work for the Biden campaign, whether it's visually transparent or not. He's still working for them, because I will point out that he's not talking about Medicare for all. He's not talking about free college. He's not talking about getting out of these wars. He's not talking so much about climate crisis other than Green New Deal. So again, that's where I'm at on that. So I think that was a great segment, Marcus.
Yes, it was. Absolutely, Amos. And I would like to go over to the next segment because it is very close to what we are talking about in this one. And for this, I would like us to play the first slide in, yes, exactly this one. And here we can see there was a guest at the Jimmy Dore show. I think it was already a couple of weeks ago. He repeated this one a few days ago. And there was his guest was Lawrence O'Donnell. and he gave us deep insights in how the Democratic Party works. And run it, and we will talk about this a little bit later.
Vote. So, what is the solution to this problem of the Democrats giving us an even more odious right-wing fascist than Hillary Clinton was in 2016? The Democrats went backwards. Here's what Lawrence O'Donnell says we should do.
If you want to pull the party, the major party that is closest to the way you're thinking, to what you're thinking, you must show them that you're capable of not voting for them. If you don't show them you're capable of not voting for them, they don't have to listen to you. I promise you that. I worked within the Democratic Party. I didn't listen or have to listen to anything on the left while I was working in the Democratic Party, because the left had nowhere to go.
One of the few times I agree with Lawrence O'Donnell.
Right.
Yes, because I think maybe in his career it was one of the few times where he was honest on TV.
Right.
But it is exactly the point. And this is exactly what we are seeing here, This is, we see progressive forces, who are trying to change the party from within. But, with the rule makers on the other side, in my opinion, it is impossible to change it from within. And you see how Bernie is treated, you see how other progressives or how the left in general is treated there. Lawrence O'Donnell brought it to the point. We didn't have to listen to them because we know there is nowhere to go for them, and this is exactly the point about this. We can argue in how far we can go on trying, to try to change the party from within. But on the other hand, we cannot have the time anymore to wait 5, 8, or 10 years until this incident is going to happen, because we have other windows who are getting nearer and nearer, and the situation is dramatic, and the question about this is. With the situation with the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg and the threat of Trump that he would bring another Supreme Court with now a vote of 6-3 on the conservative side or ultra-conservative side, what can we do, to prevent this? And the only solution seems that we are now getting pushed by everyone that we now have to, that we are doomed to vote for Joe Biden, and they are coming with half-hearted sides to maybe enlarge the Supreme Court, to add to sum it up to 14 judges, to get the majority on their side again. The first question is, who would this end? Will we have in the future hundreds of Supreme Court judges sitting there? But this is how they're trying to get the people, on to cast their votes, and still they don't offer anything. Nothing, and I think it was 1 month ago. I saw Ice Cube, who I think he was watching. Yeah,
that was a great
the
video.
DNC. Yes, he was watching the DNC, and he was asking himself. Okay, I watched it now all the days, all the 3 or 4 days it happened there. But my question is still, what do they offer to deserve my vote? And he had of course, he had no answer to this, And now, and this is, I would like to ask the panel: are the Americans who are not supporting Trump doomed to vote for Joe Biden in order that maybe the Democrats will find the balls, to enlarge the Supreme Court? What do you think about it? I would like to start with Chandler.
Yeah, I have 7,000 deep-hearted progressives on my social media. And I can tell you, Marcus, I see more people being defiant and saying, I'm done with this shit. They keep rigging. I'm not supporting their choice. I'm going to either write in Bernie. I'm going to vote Green. I'm going to vote Vermin Supreme. I see more defiance on my page than I've ever seen. And of course, there's those who come in and say, oh, you have to vote Biden, end of the world, Trump bad. And the pushback I see to those people is shocking. And so I'm not going to be shocked when Biden loses, because they offered us nothing, absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Amos, what do you think?
Well, first of all, let me address that clip that you had. That wasn't an interview with O'Donnell. This is a clip that he took from an older
2002.
Yeah, so it's not. It was said in a completely different context. I don't think that O'Donnell would say the same about the current situation, because the current situation is much different in its gravity and gravity. And I think standing on the precipice of the abyss, I think our decision has to be different than what it would be otherwise. I agree that we have to move toward a third party to create that dynamic, but this is just the wrong time. We can't feed that election to someone who is determined to destroy our democracy, because we won't even have anything to vote for next time. Frankly, I mean, we're being nitpicking about who's representing us ideologically better, and meanwhile we will not even have a say in the next part of our life.
That is so privileged. I'm sorry, Amos. That is very privileged of you to say. That is an elitist view. If you're starving and you're homeless and you're jobless, it's not a choice.
It is not a choice to like waive off our rights and liberties in the future either.
Both parties are taking your rights and liberties.
And if you guys are talking about the agenda of the current of Biden, if you want to read his economic policy, it's actually not at all as bad as you would think. It's actually more progressive than any of the other presidents before. If he actually abides by that, that would be a remarkable shift towards progressive values. Although to a lot of, to my opinion and others, it doesn't go far enough. But it's not that they're not offering anything. I think we're just done with them.
See, you're still seeing two parties. There's only one party to me.
There is definitely two parties where it comes to what you're willing to do as to destroying the democracy and keeping.
No, they just have you thinking that.
No, I don't think that's the case.
Absolutely, that's the case.
All right. Okay. Oz, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I've got a little bit to add. I'm not that much. Again, I
see you smiling all the time. Because
I appreciate Amos, your position coming on, because it's like, you are the argument that we need here. We cannot have a choir on this show, and I respect you for that. I don't agree with a lot of your positions, but I agree with your heart in the matter. You give a shit like we all do on this democracy. And but that being said, this mess would be better qualified had the Democrats not been doing the same vote shaming and screaming this is the end of the world the last 3-4 election cycles. They have basically been the boy who cried wolf, the fire in the theater, for election after election after election. And now it's really the end of the world. Or it could be, unless you vote for the lesser of two evils, which they are both evil. They are both evil. I can go point by point. So this is what I'm saying, Amos. I hope that it's not what you see as being the end of democracy. But like Marcus says, we don't have time to screw around anymore. They just started trading water futures on the stock market. Water futures. Water. So when's air? Is that next? We don't have time to screw around with this oligarch-run country, this government, where it is, in my opinion, one party, because they have the same donors. They've been fast tracking the same judges. I'm not, guess who? So this is my position. I hope everybody, I will not vote shame anybody for anything. I'm not going to tell them it's going to be the end of our democracy. It may very well be, but we've been told that for election after election after election. That's all. I could go on for an hour.
My point is not to vote shame, but
I know
you have to.
know. You're not.
Yeah, but you have to realize that if we don't have a democracy, you're not going to be marginalized. You're going to be in jail.
Yeah, and then there'll be a revolution. Then there will be a revolution. We're not going to stop.
How many countries are under autocratic rule where they can't? They're trying, but there's not much chance of a revolution.
Just like the United States.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry, you made my point for me.
My point in this, I think the USA is not at this point to be called an authoritarian regime. Not yet. It is at the brink.
Careful.
It is at the brink to it. But my point, my perspective on this is the following. And I think this is in how far Bernie might think. Also, he might come to the conclusion. This would maybe explain why he so suddenly ended his campaign. That it would come to the fight between a kind of Trumpistan versus a Biden oligarchy system, which would be the continuation of everything the Democrats did in the past. And so he decided for himself that a Trumpistan, and here I'm at Amos' side, that a Trumpistan, which would make any laws or anything else completely obsolete, it might be, and there we at the point as always, that might be the lesser evil, is helping much for the future to give us a chance. And here I'm with Amos in this point, but it doesn't change much, because here is Oz again, and I share his view here, that in the end, it is decided by only a minority, maybe a 0.1 or 2%, who give a fuck who is president under them, who is following their guidelines, and I think this is exactly happening in America. We can see it. And coming back to your criticism of the Lawrence O'Donnell video, it might be 20 years old, but if you look at the past years, what did happen since then? We had Obama in office, who did not, when he had the chance, implement Medicare for all and all the other stuff. We saw what happened in 2016 with Bernie Sanders. We saw it. We saw it right now. We saw it with Obama interfering to kick Bernie out of the race. And all this gives me not much hope that anything that much changed within the party. I think the words of Lawrence O'Donnell are still actual, my opinion.
But so what's the thing, Chanda in Oz? Do you suggest we cut our nose to spite our face? We're gonna vote out those Democrats. They're not gonna. I mean, Schumer and Pelosi are not gonna suffer from that. They're gonna see more increase in their vote in their campaign chests and so forth. Who is going to suffer is us, ultimately, because we're going to have a situation where we will not be able to do anything against it. At least with Biden, we have a fighting chance. We can push and we can continue to fight.
That's what they're that's what they're trying to sell, Amos, is that
they're not trying to sell it.
They are.
No. I think Amos is right in this, because in a Trumpistan, you will have your secret police sitting on your lap.
Yeah, well, we
already have those things.
We
Obama.
We already have this going on. It's just not to the level. Maybe, and I'll give you those points. Who's going to be the worst? Who's going to be the biggest fascist?
Exactly. Yeah. And this is always the point. Always the same. It is vote for the lesser evil.
Who gave Trump all these powers before they left office? Who expanded all everything? The Obama administration. So again, it might be a catch-22. We might just be fucked. So those who want to, take a chance on holding Biden's toesies to the fire, absolutely. If they want to vote strictly against Donald Trump, then they need to put the check mark in the Democrats' box for the Harris-Biden ticket. And then you're going to have to go with Harris. So again, my suggestion is, and I think Shanda you may or may not agree, is we've got to focus on local down ballot tickets as best we can, so we don't cut off our nose to spite our face. But as far as that presidential race goes, they're going to have the Supreme Court now, so that's not on the table anymore. And what we can see from all this week is how hard are these faux-aggressive Democrats going to really fight? And I'll go back to what I said. They've been okaying his judges all the way up to this point in all these other courts. So why not? They're going to have the Supreme Court too. So I'm just saying, I'm not going to sing the praises of Joe Biden. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, if you want to vote out Donald Trump, what's your only option? That's a decision you're going to have to make. The clock is ticking. We're running out of time. That's all I can say. I don't have
that's also the position of Cornel West and others who are, it's a tough decision, but
absolutely.
Ultimately, that's the decision you have to make.
Yes.
Which is no
Yes,
decision anymore with the clock ticking on climate, water,
Yes.
wars,
Right.
everything else. So we're just catch-22, I think.
All right. Okay. So let us calm down a minute and get into meditation. Maybe to give us a chance, you can run the clip. Who's behind you?
Oh, yeah. Did we run this yesterday? No, that was...
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I cannot watch it.
Yeah,
enough,
we
you
ran
know?
it on the dive, I think.
Oh, yeah. This is great. This is great. We want Trump. Is that what they're saying?
Exactly. This is what he understood.
$40 seconds. $60 seconds.
They love me.
They love me. Where's Melania? Oh, there she is. Is that Kamala Harris? Vote him out! Vote him out!
Release the hounds.
Dear God.
Yes, exactly.
1 minute and 28 seconds. That's a long time to pay his respects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and his direct reaction came from RBG. You know, Amos was so kind to find it. Show the next slide, please.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not as much of a laughing matter now. But,
Yes. Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah.
Bring it to
Yeah, you can show the last one. You know, this is a discussion we had about, you know, everything changed with the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. You know, things seems to start escalating more quickly than we thought, right? Unfortunately. All right, we are coming to the next topic. Also, nothing we have to celebrate, of course. It is a tragic, and it's unbelievable to what the conclusion came, what the Breonna Taylor killing concerns. Amos, please take it.
So I don't think I think you would have to live under a rock, maybe a big one, but you'd have to live under a rock not to have heard what has transpired this week with in the case of Breonna Taylor. That was the EMT worker that heroes work here, got shot in her own home by police after a botched search warrant, a no-knock search warrant. And it was basically, they were not charged with anything except for one guy. One of the policemen was charged for shooting some shots into neighboring apartments, so disturbing the peace. Nobody got indicted for killing her with 20 rounds, and that's extremely unusual. The Attorney General has somehow maneuvered this in a way that presenting it to the grand jury in a way apparently that acquitted, that kind of like determined the outcome of that. I don't blame the grand jury necessarily, but we have to hear the exact records of what happened there and what he has presented, so we know exactly what their decision at each stage was. But it's important to go over the details that we do know about this, and that's the police broke into the apartment in civilian clothes. The boyfriend of Breonna just shot. He didn't know who was breaking in. He shot them. The police claims that they did knock and announce themselves, but 12 witnesses were asked. One of them only said they heard police announce themselves. Nobody else did. And he himself was obviously, he and Breonna were not aware that that was the police, because he called the police to try and get help after she was shot. He thought somebody was attacking them, and he was like crying on the phone. It's kind of heartbreaking to hear that recording. He was trying to get the police to come in to help him. Basically, he had obtained a weapon. His weapon was lawfully owned. He had a permit. The police insisted, when they asked for the search warrant, they hid the fact that the previous investigation was done by the post office about packages that were coming, suspicious packages that were coming to her apartment, and the post office found that that wasn't the case. And in spite of that, they attempted to get the search warrant. On top of that, it's known that they caught or cornered the actual target of that investigation just before they broke into her apartment. So breaking into her apartment wasn't even a necessary step. So all of this is like, it's incredible that they could not get indicted of any of that. One thing to mention is, though, that there is still an FBI investigation, but that's not investigating directly the police killing of Breonna, but other aspects. So it is no, I can totally understand the extreme frustration of people on the street, and I can imagine that that's going to bring another wave of protests. I think it needs to.
Amos, the clip, you've got it cut. You got it started. The first clip, you got it started at 1:30. Do you want it to go to 3:59 where the other one takes on? Okay, because that it's wrong in the cut. Let me fix it real quick. And this whole thing stinks to me as well. No charges were levied against any of these officers, right?
One who shot into a neighbor's house.
Okay, and that was it. So what was that, reckless endangerment or?
Yeah, something like that.
No, they came up with some weird Kentucky indictment about wanton endangerment.
Wanton endangerment, yeah.
And the most you can get on a first degree is like 5 years. The minimum for that is one year, and for a second degree is 1 year is maximum you can get.
So that's just a sacrificial lamb, is what he was.
Yeah. So what we're supposed to have now is, when in our homes we're supposed to have a minigun or an automatic weapon. So when somebody no knocks comes into our house, we have a fighting chance. Is that what they're telegraphing here?
Well, they didn't help him, but it's obviously it's obviously a double standard, because the right wing is fighting for Second Amendment rights and stand your ground and all of that. And when somebody breaks into your apartment unannounced with a ram and in civilian clothes, you don't know who it is, and you use your weapon to defend yourself, then they're justified to shoot you to pieces.
Yeah, and put 20 slugs in the person that's sleeping on a bed that's not even threatening. Okay, I get it. They weren't
sleeping. They got up. You can read the exact timeline and everything. They did get up, but they were frightened. They didn't know who was at the door, and they were asking and yelling, "Who is it?" And nobody was responding.
All right.
And then when they broke in, he shot one of the guys in the foot.
Okay.
In the leg, sorry.
And the boyfriend's still alive, right? Okay. All right. Let's run the clip for you here, and I'll fix the setup here. Let's see if it starts right.
I found myself asking one question that just couldn't get unstuck from my mind. That was, who is winning in this whole thing. And I'm not talking about like who this helps in the election, you know, like take Donald Trump and Joe Biden out of this, because I don't think that this is an issue that will be solved by just an election. I'm talking about on the ground, the lives of people. Who is winning? Because to me, it looks like nobody is winning. Breonna Taylor's family isn't winning. They lost a loved one. They got no justice. And they've been thrust into a political firestorm. Black people definitely aren't winning, because they've basically been told that a cop can just barge into your house and shoot you. And not only that, they can say that they were defending themselves in your house. And as if that wasn't wild enough, they'll only get in trouble for the shots that they missed. Sometimes you like, if only the criminal justice system valued black people as much as drywall. Because black people are always told the same things, time and time again. Oh, just be a good person. You know what, if you just had a job, you know what, if you just didn't do crime, the cops would leave you alone. But now, what is it now? Now it's become, well, don't hang out with criminals, or don't hang out with people who might have a history as criminals, or don't hang out with associates, don't even live in a neighborhood that's considered to be criminal. But you wouldn't have to tell black people all of that, because if you told the police to do their job better and not burst into places assuming everyone is a criminal threat, then this wouldn't happen. Black people aren't winning. Why doesn't America treat the police as responsible for their own actions? They're police, they're not bears. If they were bears, then you could say, oh, black people, well, you shouldn't be hanging around the honey. I mean, you're going to get hurt. But they're not. They're human beings. They're human beings who should be held accountable for what they do. And you know, America tells people a story. America tells people that the Second Amendment means you should get a gun to protect yourself. But then that same America tells you that if you use your gun to protect yourself in your home, then the cops have a right to kill you. And that sounds like a tyrannical government to me. And if your answer is, well, don't shoot back at the police officers that you mistake as intruders, I mean, you're admitting what we all knew is true. And that is, America is a police state, and its most protected class are police officers. To me, it sounds like nobody is winning.
He's right.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but he's right also on account of the police. If you look at the next clip, he makes a very valiant point on that.
Because the police are also not winning, right? All that happens now is that they lose the trust of the community that they're meant to protect and serve. And now, as police, they're running around paranoid as running through the streets, praying to God that they don't get shot. Now, 2 of them were shot, which only increases that paranoia. Now, police are out there paranoid. The families of police are paranoid. When their parents leave, when their husbands or wives leave, they're paranoid. Right? Because now they feel like an occupying force who's there to fight against the people of the city. But that's not what policing is supposed to be. You can't have effective policing if the community isn't on your side. Police aren't winning. Being a policeman in America is already terrifying. You're told every single day from your training that any moment someone's going to pull a gun out of a glove compartment and shoot you. That's what you're trained to believe. And in part, it's true because America has so many guns. Doesn't matter if it happens or not, it's in your mind. Police are not winning. Black Lives Matter is not winning when this happens. Because now people are framing them as a violent organization. Oh, look, the cops got shot. It's because of Black Lives. Not because of Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter has repeatedly said that they're a non-violent organization. And people say like, well, then why don't you control all your members? Well, because unlike the police force, they don't have a membership structure. They don't have a record of their employees. Anyone can march in the street and claim that they're part of Black Lives Matter. We don't even know if somebody is. Someone can break a window and say it's Black Lives Matter. We don't know. But what we do know is that a policeman is a policeman. They're people that can be held accountable. They're part of a structure. And when they're not held accountable, only chaos will ensue. Nobody's winning, people. The protesters aren't winning. Yeah, maybe there's 2% of protesters out there who are just trying to shit up for fun, but by and large, protesters do not want to be protesting. People don't want to be marching through the streets, clashing with police, getting tear gas, getting beaten, getting arrested. They would much rather be living their lives. But they protest because other people can't live their lives. No one looks at a march where people are getting beaten by the cops and thinks, oh, this is a great opportunity to get my steps in. Black people are exhausted. Millions of Americans are exhausted. They're tired. Tired of feeling like they're hunted. Tired of protests in the streets in order to be viewed as equals. They're tired of people telling them how to protest. And trust me when I say black people would rather be at home taking a nap. Nobody is winning.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
He's right.
I'm tired. I'm exhausted. Shandy, do you have your sound on?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we've got you.
Yeah.
We have a super chat here, Marcus.
Yeah, thank you very much from Al Wolski. $10 from Al. My solution is to give each policeman one bullet, like Barney Fife, to keep in her pocket until she can earn the right to carry a loaded gun. Well, I don't know if this approach is to realize in America, not at current times. And but Trevor Noah, he was right. He said, each side on the paranoia grows on each side more and more. And it is only a question of time until it explodes. And I don't know what can be done. The first step, I still say it, keep police out of incidents which would not afford police, but social workers. Yeah. And this would mean a clear defund. Police is needed, but they should really concentrate on their job and stay out of business which they are not trained for, and that's my point.
No, I agree with you. I brought a report, I don't remember to what show, a couple of weeks ago, where in Colorado, they are doing an experimental process where they're dispatching social workers instead of police for, say, trespassing or things that they know are going to be a mental health type of issue. And the results so far have been amazing in reducing the amount of incidents they're having.
Yes, and listen, this is one point, but the other point is how is it living in the American society, in the American communities? How big should your stress level? How large should your stress level be? And there we are again at Medicare for all, we are talking about debt, student debts, etc. All those little things, which push your stress level, which leads into aggression, because you have to fear that you cannot survive the next day maybe, or get something to eat, or get your children food on the table, etc. Yeah. All those little things, belong to this, and yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. Okay, we go on over and coming to the next topic. It's about sports. No, it's not about sports. It's about Lindsey Graham and his sensational contortionist artwork. With the help of Amos, we got this nice slide. And there you can see. Lindsey Graham is in my opinion, he's a superhero, right? Nobody else can do this, what he can do, and it is absolutely crazy, And if you can run the clips where we can see, on what political ground Lindsey Graham stands, and how. And the backbone he has to fight for for what he stands for, right? And yeah, let's run it, man.
I want you to use my words against me. If there's a Republican president in 2016 and a vacancy occurs in the last year of the first term, you can say Lindsey Graham said, let's let the next president, whoever it might be, make that nomination. If an opening comes in the last year of President Trump's term and the primary process is started, we'll wait to the next election. And I've got a pretty good chance of being the judiciary.
You're on the record.
Yeah.
All right.
Hold the tape. This will stand the test of the time. This is the last year of a lame duck president. And if Ted Cruz or Donald Trump get to be president, they've all asked us not to confirm or take up a selection by President Obama. So if a vacancy occurs in their last year of their first term, guess what? You will use their words against them. I want you to use my words against me. If there's a Republican president in 2016 and a vacancy occurs in the last year of the first term, you can say, Lindsey Graham said, let's let the next president, whoever it might be, make that nomination. And you could use my words against me, and you'd be absolutely right. And you could use my words against me, and you'd be absolutely right.
Well, I think this guy has a big career, in front of him, Once people can get to events or circuses again, well, he would be a ticket seller, right? And, well, what his Senate seats concerns, the worm seems to be a little bit in trouble, and he was on TV this week, and he was crying tears. And if you could run the next clip, please.
My opponent will raise almost $100 million, Ainsley, in the state of South Carolina. The most money ever spent in the history of the state on a Senate race was by me in 2014 when I spent $13 million. He raised $6 million from the time Justice Ginsburg passed away within 72 hours. And God bless Justice Ginsburg. We're celebrating her life. I appreciate waiting to Saturday to announce the replacement, but I'm being killed financially. This money is because they hate my guts.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say, Marcus Amashanda, Lindsey Graham is one of the prime examples of what happens when helium never leaves your body. It just changes your voice, and that's how you sound for all your life. So he's a reject from a helium accident. So there you go, and he's full of hot air too. So,
and I would like to see the construction under his suit, which makes him stand upright. But this is another question. Well, he's crying tears, that his challenger Jamie Harrison is getting more money in his campaign than him, and. Well, when I heard this, and we all know how deep Lindsey Graham is in the rectum of Donald Trump, then I asked myself when he came up with this, well, aren't there any friends of Donald Trump, who would help him, to get a few more millions of bucks, for his campaign? To me, it came a little bit like crocodile tears, and I think it's all tactics. Behind it, Lindsey Graham, in the awareness that Donald Trump is nominating his Supreme Court pick, maybe he fears that the Republican voters might now get a little bit comfortable or lazy, what the polls in November concern, and he is just pushing fire. He's firing them up, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. I think that, there's plenty of Trump donors that'll get behind and dump cash on these guys on the Republican side. This is just a ploy. Oh, poor me. I'm getting beat out. I'm the underdog, Yeah,
yes. But I call everybody here. Jamie Harrison is running against him. Just go and contribute to him. It's that simple.
I did not check Jamie. Did not check Jamie Harrison yet, but maybe I will do this for the next show, and let's see on which side in the Democratic Party he is. Maybe you know this already, Amos. Do you know anything about Jamie Harrison?
I don't know much. I know he's an African American legislator, but I really don't know much. But anything at this point against Graham is justified. We have such a spineless example of where the entire Republican Party has gone. In fact, if I was a conservative, frankly, I can see I could in another lifetime where, like, if my brain was switched backwards, I could be a conservative.
No.
And if I was, I wouldn't have anything to vote for in this party, because they have done about 180 degrees about just about any issue and any ideology that they stood for previously. If you can challenge me with any ideology, conservative ideology, and I can demonstrate to you how that has been subverted by Trump and his party at this point. There's really nothing left. I don't know what conservatives are hoping to achieve by voting for these folks right now.
Yes, yeah, it's I cannot make up any reason to do this. You know, I'm only I can get it that such a guy is in Senate. You know, I'm asking myself about the same question about Darth Turtle. You know, Mitch McConnell.
Darth Turtle.
Why gets he reelected for years? How long is he in there? 26 years. He became a multimillionaire. He had nothing when he started already. You know, and now he's having millions of dollars. And if you look at the state of Kentucky, I think they are last in every list. You know, or they are. I think they're on the top. What the death rates concern. You know. At how much early the people are dying in this state, you know, in comparison to others. And there they are leading, and they are electing this crap, those bullshitters, time and time again, you know, and I can get this, you know. Well, in the end, you know, yeah, we can close this, you know, it is remarkable what Lindsey Graham can do with his body and with his attitude and... You know, the funny thing about is Elizabeth Warren, I saw this the other day in a clip, I don't know where, she characterized Lindsey Graham in an interview, and he said he's a guy who has his spine in a little box next to him, you know. This was remarkable coming from Snake Elizabeth, right?
You know,
all right, and there was one comment on Twitter. Wear a damn mask. You know, he says a pity party. He's throwing a pity party for himself. As he said, I doubt this, and I think from what I heard, you also have the opinion that he will get the millions he needed to get a good chance at the election day, to stay there.
I want to add some perspective.
Yeah.
This is how I feel. I'm with Chris Foster. He's over in the UK. Every politician I've ever seen has permanently got their head up their own pucker hole and still manages to kiss the big corporate ass. So I know we're heavy on how bad the Republicans are, but let's not forget Dianne Feinstein.
I was just going to say Dianne Feinstein.
Yeah.
Get out of my brain.
And Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi made her millions through her career in politics. Amen. So, you know, if you think that's on the up and up, I got something to tell you. And I'm not trying to qualify or I'm just showing the similarities between these lying sack of shit politicians. And Chris Foster, you get my gold star for today because you're saying what Shanda and I obviously are thinking.
Yeah, Chris.
So we got to go there. By the way, great news. Dianne Feinstein's husband has been implicated in the college admissions fraud, so he might be breaking some rocks with Lori Layton.
Oh, please. Did you see she got sent to a country club where she can take ukulele lessons?
Yeah, she can learn the ukulele and augment her acting ability. I'm really, but I hope Dianne Feinstein's bazillion-dollar husband goes to the same place so we can make fun of him too.
Yeah.
So,
but coming back quickly to Lindsey Graham, to the contortionist slide, it is more remarkable what he did there, because you got to imagine that he is doing this deep inside the rectum of Donald Trump.
Oh yeah, that's better than a string of beads, that's for sure.
Yeah. Okay. We are nearing the end of the show. We are coming to the good news. I checked long, and then I found this, and we're talking about blonde women. Sorry, Chan.
Oh God,
we are talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene. I call her Empty Green because you will see that this woman is really empty. She has big guns. Run the clip, please.
I really like this lady.
America's the greatest country in the world. America. We need conservatives in Washington that will keep it that way. I'm running to stop open borders, the Green New Deal, and socialism.
Yes, Empty Green is a big supporter of QAnon, and she is ultra right, if you want. So you can, I think we can call her a fascist somehow, And you saw she had big weapons with her, and the more I was wondering why she came unarmed to a battle with AOC. And of course, it could not end well with her, and she was tweeting, "As a blonde woman, I would like to take a moment to thank Congresswoman at AOC. She has single-handedly put an end to all the dumb blonde jokes. Blondes everywhere appreciate your service and your sacrifice. Well, here's the answer. Don't worry, Mrs. Greene. I completely understand why you need to swing and miss at my intellect to make yourself feel better. You seem to have some trouble spelling your own insults correctly. Next time, try single-handedly. It'll work better. Good luck writing legislation. Yes, I think burned, right?
Yeah, that was a good burn.
Absolutely. And the thing is, when I checked MT Green, I found out that she had really good chances to win her district, to be in Congress. And yes, if I think that people of such a quality might end in Congress, well.
They're all over in our government.
Oh, there's more. Yeah.
I know. This is worrying.
My mayor just made national news for supporting QAnon on a public radio talk show, saying that it promotes free thinking.
Free thinking.
Oh, yeah.
Free thinking.
Yes.
Free and dumb thinking.
Right. But what course of action do you have? Just because he believes that? I mean, we've got people locally that want him recalled, but that's his opinion. He's entitled to his opinion, as stupid as it is.
Yeah, crazy times, and it was nice to see that AOC still knows how to hard back and that she reads carefully what other stupid people write, and we are not talking about blondes. We are happy that we have Channa with us and that she is part of our panel and puts her.
I'm the serious blonde.
The serious, exactly. This is what that was we're looking for these words. Yeah, she's a serious blonde. All right, guys.
I don't know if you've paid attention. There's been breaking news regarding Colin Powell asking for his Republican Congress fellows to start impeachments against William Barr.
No, I haven't heard about that yet.
Yeah.
So
okay. What do you think? Would it resonate?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Exactly. Well, it's the end of the show already, and we are going. Before we are going out, of course, Oz will announce what's going to happen later today and next week.
Shanda, I'll let you promote tonight since you do it so beautifully.
We've got an amazing episode of Beauty and the Boomer After Dark lined up. We're going all 1680s on your asses, and you'll have to tune in to see what that's all about. And then I'm working on some great interviews next week for a return of the Accidental Activist with Mariana Everson, who is running here in Washington State. And of course, we have the dive every Monday through Friday, except for Thursdays.
Yeah.
Oz, what am I missing?
This Monday, the dive's going to be off because Oz is going to be getting his dental work done. Marcus is the expert on that lately. How's it go with dental work? Is it less painless these days or what?
It's still a dentist, right?
Yeah.
But they got a good. I think what they are using right now nowadays. I think it's still a mixture of Novocaine or something else, So
yeah, I wonder if.
But we don't get high as you guys in America. We have different stuff,
Dang.
You get the good stuff, We get only that we don't feel anything,
We're the most addicted in the world.
Yes, we are.
It's probably less painful than Graham's contortion.
Yeah, you're probably
yes, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. But it wouldn't. But I can guarantee it wouldn't have hurt Lindsey because he knows how to deal with this.
There you go. All right.
Well, thank you to my panel. Thank you, Chanda. Thank you, Amos. Of course, I know it is not easy for you sometimes. But the more I appreciate that you're with us, and I absolutely appreciate your opinion on this, because. What would we discuss about, if we don't have your thoughts in it, we would be in the same bubble. And this is what I really, really like. And thank you for being with us. And of course, thanks to us who makes all this happening. And don't forget to tune in later when you see the Beauty and the Beast with Chanda and Oz. And have a great one. We are going out with message ups.
Marcus, before we go, may I shamelessly plug in...
I thought about it, but I did not know if you wanted to do this already. Okay. Let me.
Well, with Oz's help, hopefully we're going to launch my show this week on Wednesday evening. And I'm hoping to get an economist by the name of James Galbraith on here. He has a very interesting perspective on recovery after COVID-19. He has some critique about Biden's foresight on how to address the next recovery, and some ideas what is actually necessary to do so. And you'll be surprised.
Yeah, great news, and of course, good luck. I would. At what time would be the show? You said.
Well, Eastern time it would be 8:30. What does it make at West Coast time?
5:30.
I don't know. I got to think in German time. I would
always get confused on the direction.
If I can, I would be also around in chat. And good luck with this. And thanks to our viewers for being very active in chat. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. And now we are going out with the message shops and Magneto. Have a great weekend and see you later. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.